class, you're going to work on your review for your 6 weeks exam. I would also, because I'm going to be coming by periodically and giving back tests, you need to work on your test corrections as well. Your 6 weeks exam is next Tuesday. We will review in class on Monday. I'll check that the review packet is complete. It will be a completion grade. And if you need to do corrections, start on them and then come to tutorials, especially if you need to reassess. So I'm going to go over some basic stuff, and you need a calculator. If you don't have one, please get one. I'm going to show you some tricks on the calculator, and hopefully maybe if you memorize the functions, the keystrokes, how to get to it, how to access it, how to apply it to a problem, then maybe that would help you get some problems correct if you're still struggling with substitution, elimination, things like that. Now, with graphing, it's still the same. You have to, and understand that if you could not give me the first step, there was not much partial credit. At this point of the game, you should be able to put in a slope-intercept form. And if you still are struggling with identifying when to do that, how to do that, executing that, you need to get into tutorials. I can't stress that enough. So in order to graph, even to use it on the calculator, you have to have it in y equals mx plus b. So we have two equations here. We're going to change it to solve for y. To do the first one, hopefully you know to subtract x to both sides, and I'm just going to bring it over to the right. That would leave me what 4y is equal to negative x minus 32. We still have not isolated y. We still have to solve for y. That means you have to divide each term by 4. And so y is equal to, if I have a negative x divided by 4, that's the same thing as a negative 1/4 x, and this is going to be minus 8. And we're going to box that because we're going to graph that. And if I wanted the calculator to graph it, I have to have it in that form to do that. And we're going to make sure you review that, and I'll show you some tricks with inequalities on Monday on how to do that. So we should always start with your y-intercept. This is where we start. That's our starting point. And when I was checking graphs, I checked that you could at least graph the y-intercept. So here's the negative 8, 2, 3. So I'm graphing that point, negative 8. And then I checked, this is the second part. This is how I move. Additional points using the slope. Our slope for this problem is the negative 1/4. So that means at this point I can go down 1 to the right 4, down 1 to the right 4, or because I can't continue that pattern, I can go up 1 to the left 4. So I checked that you had that pattern showing that slope on your graph. Showing the correct slope, showing the correct equation. So now we got to solve for the second equation here. We got to solve for y, so subtract x on both sides. When I do that, that leaves y equals a negative x minus 5. All right, so now we're starting with a negative 5. On the y-axis, my slope is a negative 1, because it's like an imaginary 1 in front of the x, so that means we're just going down 1 to the right 1. And I can see where those lines intersect now. And your solution is that point of intersection. That's where the solution is. And then, so we have 1, 2, 4, 4, 9, I believe. Negative 9. So, you're still going to see fractions. Some of you did a real good job of this on your bonus on your tests. Can't let fractions scare us, especially when we have the calculator. But again, you're still going to have to solve for y here. Y is isolated, but it has this coefficient of 1/3. I got to get rid of that. And to do that, I'm going to multiply everything by 3. Every term. So the slope-intercept form here will be y equals a negative 2x, and this will be plus 2. Then we're going to solve for y for the second equation. So here's our first equation. I'm going to go ahead and solve for y for the second equation. All I have to do is subtract the 4 here. This will leave me with 2y is equal to negative 4x minus 4. And now we're dividing everything by 2. And I'm hoping you see something. Y is now going to be a negative 2x minus 2. And if you really know the parts and the special cases and the different types of equations and parts of the equations, we should automatically see that this had a -2 as the slope, this was a -2 as the slope, these lines are parallel, so this would be no solution. I had some of you pick that, or tell me on your test that that means they're perpendicular. If they have the same slope, there's no solution. Alright, so that's just reviewing graphing. We're still going to check that you can put in slope and intercept form. You have to use that throughout this year and next year, especially in geometry, with coordinate geometry. Now, get your calculator. Let me show you the trick. Now, it doesn't matter what form. The beauty of this, it doesn't matter what form the equation is. I'm going to try to find one. Oh yeah, we'll do number 4. I'm going to try to find number 4. So you see that it doesn't matter how the equation is written. You just got to know how to access, how to solve it. Since we're solving a system, go to your calculator. Remember, we're not using Sketchpad. If anything, just get in the habit of using these two. Okay, calculations. Oh, let me go back. Or using graph. We're going to add a calculation, a new document. And we're going to, as soon as we add a new document, go to menu. And we have this function, this action called algebra. Go to algebra. And you'll see numerical solve. Can't use that. But right there, number 2, solve systems of linear equations. The calculator can solve a system of linear equations for you if you know how to enter it in correctly. So we're going to solving the system. Now, they ask the number of equations we have. Well, in our problem, we have 2 equations. Our variables are x and y. They're always going to be x, y. We're never going to do anything to this. We're going to just go straight to say, okay. And then you're going to say, len solve. Well, you have 2 boxes. The boxes are where you're going to enter in your equation. They want you to type it in. You need to type it exactly how it reads. So, number 3 says 4x, so I'm going to do 4x. And then it says plus 2y, excuse me. And then it says equal. To get your equal sign, right underneath your control, the blue key, there's an equal sign. So put equal and then 10. So that's the first equation. You go to the next box and you type in the second equation. The second equation says x plus y. And then it equals 13. And then we're just going to hit enter. And there's our solution. You might have to enter twice depending on your what software you have, if you have the upgrade on the calculator. But our solution to the problem, the x and y, x is the -8, and y is 21. And there you're done. So, and the beauty of this, it does not matter how the equation is written. So now that you know how to do your trick, you can put the answer, use your calculator. You just need to state, use calculator, and got to the answer. Now let me show you how it doesn't matter. So we know this one is, what was it? Sorry. -8, yeah. Come on. Nope. So this was -8, 21. Alright, so this one, first equation is in standard form. Second equation, it's not in any form, but I can just type it as I see it. So, go back to our calculator. Who remembers how do I get to the solution of a system? First hit, that's correct, menu. Go to where? Yep, algebra. Then we're going to go solve systems. We have 2 equations. Do we do anything to this screen? Nope, we keep it the same. We say okay. And we're going to type the equation exactly how it's written. We have x plus 3y. And then we have equal 1. Then we come down to the next tab, so tab down. It says 3x, so I have to put 3x. Now equals, and then we have 3y, x and y, and our variables always at the bottom, minus 15. The thing you have to watch is you just got to make sure you type it in correctly. You could get an error, and usually if you get an error, you just got to go back, and usually the cursor goes to where the error is, and it tells you need to type in something correctly. So here we go. There's our solution. Our solution is -7/2 and 3/2. So the only thing you got to be familiar with is that sometimes your answer choices might not be in fraction form. It might be in the decimal form, so be able to convert that. So I know at this point it says solve by substitution, solve by elimination. But if you know how to solve, on the calculator, that is what I expect you to do. Now, the one time that the calculator cannot solve is when you have word problems. It can solve it, but you have to be able to write the word problem. So get in the habit of using our steps from the beginning of 6 weeks from test 1. Break it down by sentence. We have to first define our variable. Always use our x and y because that's what the calculator uses and that makes it more convenient. Notice that in this problem we're talking about apple pies and pecan pies. I'm going to make x be my apple pie and y be my pecan. Alright, so it says here that Casey sold 6 apple pies, 4 pecan for a total of $80. There's my sentence. We're going to write an equation for that. That would look like 6x plus 4y equals 80. Then it says Gabby sold 6 apple pies, 5 pecan, and her total was $94. So 6 apple, that's 6x, 5 pecan, that's 5y, plus 5y equals 94. All right, so once you get to this, once you have your equation written, now we can go back and we can put it into the calculator and use our calculator trick. So hit menu, algebra, solve systems. I always hit OK because we're going to always have 2. And our first system we have was 6x plus we had 4y equals 80. Because they want to figure out what's the cost of 1 apple and 1 pecan. And the problem, 6x. And then we have plus 5y equals 94. And then we're going to hit enter. And the cost of 1 apple is $4 because that was our x. And the cost for 1 pecan is $14. So there we go. There's your trick. Just indicate if you're using your calculator or calculator usage. We need to come up with an acronym or something for that. You have to write the equations here for word problems. You should know how to do 10 and 11. Now you can go straight to typing. But when it starts asking for parallel, perpendicular, saying y-intercept or x-intercept, calculator cannot help you for that. You have to get it into mx plus b. And you have to compare your m, your slope, compare your y-intercept, compare your x-intercept. So, before you leave, understand, and I'm going to have this posted on the board, you're going to be responsible for showing that you can do certain problems. Each group or each person in the group is going to be responsible for a certain set. It's going to be on the board. So if you are A, if there's an A on your desk, you're going to give me a certain amount of problems. If you are a B, you're going to give me a certain amount of problems. If you're a C, you need to write that on your sheet of paper and turn it in. Now that I've showed you this trick, I expect this to get done and turned in before you leave. You always will have a check with the sub to show that you're being productive and staying on task. Thank you for being patient. I'm probably going to do a video to help with some of the corrections on the test. Y'all have a good weekend.